Hi there, today I'm going to make, or try to make, a windshield for my Honda CRF250L. There's a few kits on the market you can buy, but I think all the ones I found you have to drill some holes in the headlight bezel to mount it. So I thought I'd see if I could come up with something that I didn't have to make any modifications to the bike. Anyway, thought I'd document this process in case anyone finds it interesting. First step will be taking that headlight cowling off. So we'll adjust the camera and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, so removing this is a pretty easy process. There is basically 4 bolts, 2 on each side, 1 here and 1 down there. Already loosened these off and removed the bolts from the other side. And just a little tip is to remove the left side bolts first, because the right side is still retained by a stud on the top bolt, so the headlight can't fall off when it's leaning on the kickstand. Okay, so all the bolts are out. As I said, the other side I've already removed the bolts. Just kind of pry that off, and like I said, this is actually a stud that everything's hanging off of. And just remove the plug from the headlight, and that whole unit comes right off. Okay, now that that's off, there's just four Phillips screws holding that cowling onto the headlight assembly. Okay, and then I'll just lift off. And my plan here is to try and design the windshield to fit on this side of the headlight cowl. And I hope to be able to design it so it basically slots into these pockets here. And because this is flexible and you can kind of pry those pockets apart a little bit, I'm hoping that'll work. And then once you put the screws back in, it'll keep the windshield from popping out. And there's actually another plastic tab up higher that I think will press the windshield up against this edge. So we'll see how that works. So my plan is to use this fancy 3D puzzle as a mold. It's kind of a poor man's vacuum forming mold. Don't know if you call this drop forming or sag forming or what exactly it is, but the idea is to heat this up till the point where the acrylic softens and starts to sag. And with any luck, it'll sag until it contacts the outside profile of this fixture, and I'll watch until it just droops down to that center profile. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll see how it works. We'll do this in the kitchen oven, so here we go. As an old friend of mine used to say, revision A of every design sucks. I'm actually pretty happy with the way this turned out. Other than a small, let's see if I can show this here, a small divot right here. Otherwise, I'm happy with the shape of it. And I think what happened is I misjudged how this would sag, and there's a bit of a bump right there, which is obviously transferred into the plastic. So I've made up a new center rib to get rid of that bump, and I'll just swap that out and give this another try. The other thing I found, this is the headlight bezel. And my plan is to install this by mounting this into these pockets. And it's a little bit loose in there as well, so I've modified the shape of the plastic as well as the template, and we'll see how that works out. You can see I wanted this to kind of follow the profile of this, and now it's a little more obvious that there's a divot right there that makes it look a little bit goofy. So we'll swap out this center rib real quick. All right, back to the kitchen. All right, well, Rev B was much better than Rev A. The large bump in the middle is gone, but there's just two small dents on either side of the middle now. And I was ready to call that good enough actually until I snapped one of the tabs off. I actually tweaked these too much and now it was so hard to get in, I snapped that off. It's so hard to get into the headlight cowl, that is. You can see it follows the profile of the cowl quite nicely now, other than those two little divots right there. So I'm going to give this one more try, and this time I've made up this little template so that I can hold that once everything melts, and I try and press this side down. I think what's happening is when I press this down, it doesn't want to bend tight enough around this profile here. So it pulls these sides up, these little divots. So I think what I'm going to try this time is with this template, I'll hold this against the plastic while I'm pressing this down. And hopefully I'll get rid of those little dimples by doing that. So we'll see. One more time. All right, well, there it is. Actually really happy with the way this one turned out. That little template did the trick. No dimples in there, fits pretty decent. So put it on the bike, see how it looks. Okay, so I'll just assemble this in the reverse order. Put this headlight back in. Just a quick note before I put this headlight back on. The plan is for this piece of plastic here. This is, I guess there's some connectors fastened off of there. It's riveted onto the steel structure. Seems relatively rigid. So that is actually going to be contacting the windshield once it's on and preventing it from being pushed back by the wind. So basically right up around this area. So overall you get a torque applied to this, so preventing it from blowing back into your face. So I'll just bolt that back on real quick and then we'll see what it looks like on the bike. Okay, there it is. I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out, and hope you enjoyed following along. Thanks very much for watching.